Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Feel It, Heal It podcast. Welcome back to Morning Tea Live. Welcome back to YouTube. Wherever you are tuning in, you have multiple options. I am so excited because today is my final training that I will be giving in San Diego before I move to Newport Beach, Orange County this Saturday, September 28th, 2024. So if you're listening to this and you're in the future, I will already have been living in Newport Beach. So we shall see what this new chapter brings. I'm so excited. I got my Breathe Deeply sweatshirt on for a little fall cozy vibe. And today we're going to be talking all about how to move through things with ease. So we're going to be going through some logistical tools that I have for you guys, and then also some energetic, emotional, inner child techniques as well. So let's settle in with a few deep breaths as always. So everyone's sitting up nice and tall, maybe taking another sip of your tea if you have some tea. If you guys have not tried, this is not an ad, I just literally love them so much. Paleo Valley, they have this golden milk mixed with mushrooms, and I put some pumpkin cinnamon on top, and I like froth it with almond milk, MALK, which has none of the crap in it, and you warm it up and it tastes like just fall nourishment. It's so good and cozy. Yum, yum. Okay, let's take a breath. So sitting up nice and tall, breathing all the way in and release. In another breath, sighing it out. One more. And maybe doing some neck rolls or any movement that your body's asking for, any stretches, maybe some side stretches. Just taking a moment to land in your body, connecting with your body. Feels so good. And taking any last minute deep breaths, movement, whatever your body's needing. And whenever you're ready, you can come back. Feels so good. What a gift it is to breathe deeply, as my sweatshirt says. Okay, so the inspiration for this week's training was I was reflecting this morning as I was completing my checklist for my move, and I was reflecting on how if I had this long of a to-do list in the past, my inner child would have felt so terrified. I would have felt dysregulated. I would have let fear come up. I wouldn't have felt safe to hold all of it, trust myself in moving through it. I probably would have reached for external saving. Someone help me do this. I don't want to do it. And that was all my inner child running the show. And this time I was like, wow, there is a lot happening. I'm traveling. I got back from traveling. The Packers came, we packed up my whole apartment together. And then I have these few days of launching my new program, Authenticity Unleashed, which enrollment is open until Friday, so you can join us. And I have this entire checklist to do for my move. And the thing with moving is there's always a bunch of stuff, right? Like not just the physical packing and moving, but all the logistics of canceling the utilities and setting up the new utilities and changing your driver's license and all the things. So in the past, when I lived in Ocean Beach, San Diego, everything, I had the same landlord for all 4 years, and it was just super chill and lax. You could barely reach them, which was a challenge sometimes when you actually needed to reach them. But the plus side of that was everything was just super relaxed. Like you didn't really have to do much. And of course, still had to set up utilities and all of that, but it wasn't, again, it was just like super chill. This place, it's you need to have this submitted by this and this document here and this photo here and the pet photos here and it was like a whole thing, like sign into your portal here. Whereas like my old apartments, I would literally walk the physical check to pay rent to my landlady's shack that she lived on near the beach. This was like setting up the whole online portal and just having it be more official, which makes sense because this is an actual property management company in a gated community, and it's like a very elevated experience. So with elevated experiences, whether that's me moving to a nice apartment complex or you elevating your job, your lifestyle, the way you speak to yourself, like literally with anything, elevated experiences come with holding a new level of elevated experience, whether that is the actual logistical things like the to-do list I had to do, or you showing up for your business or for your dream, whatever that is, your passion project. And also the energy of trusting yourself, right? It's easier to stay living in a very casual beach shack when I don't have to do much, because then I don't have to take responsibility for those things and actually be an adult. Whereas now it's, oh, I'm claiming to the universe, I'm ready to have an elevated experience, but that comes with deeper levels of trust and holding more. And as you guys know, I went through a dark night of the soul. 2024, the first 7 to 8 months was dark night of the soul, and it was very slow. It was very being in this still slow period of the unknown. And then August, everything just whoop, just very quickly sped up. And the universe was like, you are now ready to hold more, which is a beautiful thing. And that's so funny. I got a notification that my mentor is also going live. We're going live at the same time. Look at that. Also, we are going live together tomorrow. You guys should totally tune in. It's going to be so good. So anyway, the universe was like, you're ready to hold more. And within a span of, I don't know, like a month, I received 11 new clients for my group program. About to be number 12, so we're having someone else join. I literally found a new place without even looking for one. It like literally fell in my lap. And I released things in my business. There's so many changes, and that's how quickly things can change, which is why it's so important not to attach on to any low or any high or any moment, because literally each moment is always evolving and changing. And the more that we can accept that, the more that we can practice riding those waves rather than getting sucked into them, the more that we can move through things with ease and grace and compassion and gentleness with ourselves. So let's start with some of the practical tips that I have for you guys of how to move through these long to-do lists. Let's say it's a really busy season for you, work, personally, relationship-wise, and you're juggling and you're balancing, and you're like, how the fuck do I move through all this? So what I love to do, and I'm a Capricorn, I'm a double Capricorn, so I am very into to-do lists and organization and getting myself structured, and the nervous system needs that structure, but we also need to have that flow. So it's the divine structure to have that divine feminine flow. So what I did is every time I thought of something, I would just add it to a to-do list. And I used to do physical to-do lists. That's beautiful to like physically check it off. I like to use the Notes app where I can click when something is checked off. And I would then block out. So step one, literally just adding things to the to-do list and just taking breaths. If I noticed overwhelm, which is just fear, show up. Overwhelm is not an emotion, it's a state of being. And the emotion underneath overwhelm is fear. Fear of, am I going to be able to get all this done? How am I going to get all this done? When am I going to get all this done? What will it mean if I don't get all this done? All of the worry thoughts. So I added everything I could think of to this to-do list. And then I looked at my calendar and I time blocked, okay, on this day, I'm going to dedicate a chunk of time to finishing this checklist or working on the checklist. And I would just slowly do a little bit at a time. Now, I then went away on a trip for a week to see my family in Cape Cod in New York. And I came back and was like, okay, I still have a good chunk of it left, but I know I have some days where I can just put it in my to-do list for that day, but I don't need to specify exactly what time or what on the list I'm going to do. So this is where we introduce some of that nervous system flexibility of we have the structure of on this day, you are going to work on this thing. Now, if something else comes up during the day that takes priority, great, that's fine. Flexibility. Then you, like, for example, yesterday I had finished to-do list for the move and I didn't because I was busy doing other things. And so I moved it to today. So then this morning when I woke up, I took some time. I created a really nice environment. So I turned on the fire. I made myself some bone broth. So good. I brought out a fuzzy blanket. I had my dogs there with me. I took some breaths and I just started taking it one by one, like literally one baby step at a time. And something I was just talking about with a client is how we spend so much time thinking about what to do or deciding between what to do, two things, many options, that we then don't just spend time doing something, right? And we spend so much time thinking. And this not just goes for to-do lists or moving through overwhelm, it literally applies to everything in life. Like, how often do you spend time thinking in your head rather than actually doing and being and feeling and being connected in your body, right? We spend so much time up here, which of course we're grateful for our big, beautiful brains, but there's a time and a place for thinking, and there's a time and a place for just feeling, and we have to connect the two. Because if we're only thinking, we're not feeling, then we're disconnected from our bodies. And if we're only feeling and doing somatic practices all day, but we're not actually like getting shit done and using our prefrontal cortex to make decisions, and that's not good either. So it's really connecting the two systems of mind and body. So I created a nice little environment and I just did one thing at a time. And so those were really the simple logistics I did, like doing the to-do list, moving the to-do list, and time blocking, and knowing, okay, I want to go work out or do this thing, but I'm in a bit of a time sensitive period. So can I plan to work out on this night, but then the next morning do my to-do list? Like yesterday, I was launching my new program. I recorded module 1 of that. And then I knew I had my going away party that night. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to have time to really focus on this, but the next day, I will make sure that I dedicate time. And at the end of the day, like, we're humans, we're not machines. So if anything doesn't get done, like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're safe to fuck up. You're safe to be imperfect. You're safe to need more time. Like, I had to ask my book coach for an extension because I needed more time and I didn't want it to feel rushed with something that I'm investing so much time, energy, and money into. So another part of this is noticing where you're letting external things rush you to do the to-do list, rush you to meet your partner, rush you to have kids, rush you to join a job or rush you to do things that actually you don't want to do, or even if you do want to do, like trusting the time and place for that. Like, society rushes women to have babies, and then I realize I might not even want to have babies. So it's like really allowing space to slow down. That's what trauma healing is all about, is allowing the nervous system to settle more deeply into this present moment and to just slow down. And so the energetic piece of all of this is looking at what is the emotion that comes up when you look at this to-do list, when you look at the thing that you have to move through, or the timeline or the deadline or whatever it is. As I said, most of the time it's fear. Now, it's important to look at, what are you actually afraid of? What's the worst case scenario? Okay, worst case scenario is I wouldn't get done everything in time. Now, if I didn't get done everything in time, what would have happened? I would have gotten to moving day and I would have had a hold up with the movers. I would have needed to complete some documents. And that would have cost me extra money, and I didn't want to pay money for that. Now, if I really needed to, because that was the only option, then I would have to just accept that, right? So a big part of this is looking at, where are you not accepting what is happening, and where are you resisting it, and where are you not looking at it as an opportunity for, the universe thinks that I can hold more. How do I want to relate to holding more? How do I want to feel when I'm holding more? How do you want to feel when you are receiving and holding more? Because if your immediate response is, I can't do this, I can't trust myself, this is too scary, this is too much, then you are communicating to the universe, I am not ready to receive what I desire. And that's okay. Maybe you're not. And maybe you just need to be honest about that and titrate it. And that's totally fine. There's no shame in that. But it's also looking at, how can you come back to what's in your power to actually relate differently? So that would look like, okay, I have this long to-do list. I'm feeling overwhelmed, which I know is fear. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of, how am I going to get all this done? Okay, well, instead of thinking about how am I going to get all this done, why don't I take a few deep breaths, regulate and calm my nervous system, and literally just take it one thing at a time. And also coming back to what's in your power. So for example, this morning I was setting up my gas and electric. Very exciting, except it's not exciting, right? It's exciting that I'm moving, but it's not exciting to have to set up gas and electric. And that's part of being an adult, is you're not going to do things that are exciting all the time. I don't enjoy calling an electric company being like, I'd like to set up, right? That's not like exciting, but you have to accept that you're doing it for a reason and connect that to your why. Connect that to the excitement. Oh, by doing these things I don't actually want to do, I get to experience what I do want to do. So I had noticed that, when I called, I couldn't reach a representative. Then I went online, they wouldn't accept my new address. So there were all these roadblocks. And in the past, I would have gotten so just frustrated and angry and like just screaming representative on the phone, which I did do a little bit. I did see if that would work, and I saw it wasn't working. So I was like, okay, we're just going to take a breath. And how do I want to relate to this in this moment? When you start to understand that your energy is quite literally the most valuable resource that you have, it's not even time. Time is not even your precious resource, because time doesn't exist. Like, time is infinite. Time is, we experience this lifetime and then we die and then we're in the 5D and then we come back to the 3D and it just goes on forever and ever. Time is not even a thing. Time is a man-made construct. Energy is a thing. Energy is, I have a certain amount of energy allotted for my day. How do I want to use it? And it's really getting to know yourself. For me, I know that my brain is most on fire in the morning. And so rather than having a really slow morning with my meditation and my chanting and setting up all the things, like sometimes I'll have mornings like that, but for the most part, I know that is reserved for nighttime or in the middle of the day. I know that I use those things to recharge and to rest. And I do that before I'm about to sleep or in the middle of the day. Here and there, I will just start the morning with some deep breaths or a chant. But for the most part, I know that I know myself. I know that when I wake up, I need to nourish myself. I need to get outside for sunlight and movement. And then I come back in and I know that my brain is ready to work. And so I'm like, this is my optimal time. So what is your optimal time? What is your optimal time where maybe you need slower mornings? Maybe you are more productive in the middle of the day or in the evening. For me, I know that I'm most productive first thing in the morning. Like I am a generator. I'm an energy design. I can literally wake up and just start using energy. But it's our job as learning how to reparent ourselves, how to monitor that energy. So in those moments when I have the urge to get frustrated, close the laptop, scream at the robot on the phone, being like, operator, representative, I'm like, okay, do I want to use my energy for that? Because me using my voice for that it exerts energy. Exerts, you know what I mean? It releases energy, uses energy. So I was like, okay, I can't control that this is happening. How do I want to relate to this? I don't want to use energy for that because that's not worth my energy. And so instead, I'm going to just take a breath. I'm going to move on to something else and I'm going to come back to this with a fresh lens. And that's what I did. I then called, I thought I was calling the gas company. It was actually the electric company. I got that set up, finally reached someone on the phone, just took some deep breaths, was even doing some other things while he was setting it up on the phone. So I got two things done in one. And the thing is, like multitasking, you can't actually multitask because it's more your switch tasking or task switching. You're switching between tasks and you can't actually be present with more than one thing. But in this situation, I was able to just switch between I'm present here when he needs to ask me a question on the phone, and then I'm present here. And it's also, again, choosing what you want to be present for. So is it very important to me to be fully present for scheduling a electric service? I need to be present enough to make sure that I get the service scheduled, but I don't need to be present enough where I'm like, oh my God, this is such an enjoyable experience and I'm going to miss out. No, this is one of those tasks where you just want to get it over with. Whereas if you're having dinner with someone, like last night I had my going away party, if I were on my phone the whole time, that I would be missing out on being present. So I put my phone down other than to take some pictures and videos, and I was present with people, and it was beautiful and filled my cup up and gave me energy. So really moving through things is one, what is your inner child terrified of? What are you making it mean that you feel fear? Because the more that you can accept that you're going to feel fear until you don't, you're going to feel fear. No, not until you don't. You're always going to, like, fear is here to stay. Fear is part of being human. And so when you can allow yourself to just be with that, like I even experienced a moment of that last night because this year has been such a deepening of becoming my own anchor. I have noticed that because I have been in such a cocoon when I'm now with people, I notice a little bit of fear come up of, oh, I'm not used to relating to people from being so deeply connected to myself. And now I'm learning how to connect deeply with others in a way that's from a self-connected place, from an authentic place, from an aligned place, rather than from a place of trauma and my codependency and anxious attachment and protectors. So I noticed when I was with everyone last night, I was like, whoa, like I'm not used to being with so many people anymore because I'm very intentional with who I spend my time with now. And I noticed some tightness in my chest, and I was like, oh, okay. Stay connected to your energy. You are safe. These are safe people. Like I literally just had to breathe and talk myself through it. And then I was fine. And then I had the most magical, fun, joyful, connected night with all of my favorite San Diego people. And it was just like amazing. Like my heart was so full. So fear is going to come up. You have to get honest with yourself around what are you making the fear mean? Why are you making it mean that? Where does that come from in childhood? And what does it actually mean? Because most likely it actually just means that you are human and that you're making it mean something because you learned that it wasn't okay to feel fear or other feelings in childhood. So this is where the reparenting part of the inner child comes in of I get to relate to this differently by showing my inner child that it's okay to feel scared, and we get to do it scared. We get to choose how to relate to the fear rather than the fear taking over. We get to breathe with the fear. We get to get still with the fear. We get to honor what we're needing in that moment. So I would take breaks when I would feel fear come up, overwhelm. I would take breaks. I would go make some tea. I would come back. I would just take some breaths. I would anchor back into my home, and I allowed myself to just move through things very slowly. Now, there are other times where I'm in like a very deep productive focus mode where it's just going to be like boom, quick, and things are just happening quickly, and that's okay too. But again, it's all about the energy in which you're relating to anything from. So if you're in that momentum where you're moving through things quickly and it's feeling good and it's feeling energizing, it's feeling like motivating and, ooh, I can do this, versus, oh, I'm doing this from a frenetic place and I actually need to slow down because slowing down will help you speed up. That's the thing is we wait for motivation to act, and then we don't act because we don't have the motivation. None of us have motivation. It's the doing that gives you motivation. So you have to do it without motivation to gain the motivation you're looking for to do more or to do it in a different way. So to summarize, we have the practical tools of getting everything out of your head onto the paper, onto your notes app, or whatever you use for a to-do list, for a way to give your nervous system that structure. And then we have the logistical part of actually time blocking, giving yourself an idea, making time for it. So rather than it just floating in your head, okay, I know that I have, even though I'm focusing on this today, I know that I have some time tomorrow reserved for this. And then it's also looking at priority, like prioritizing things in order of what they need to be prioritized. For example, with some of the to-do list, I needed to have it complete by the 17th for them to get me in the system at the new apartment complex. So I knew that those things were going to take priority, whereas setting up my utilities, I had until the 28th when I'm moving. So I'm obviously going to prioritize that. But when you're focusing on, oh, but I have to do the utilities, it's you could be using that energy that you're spent thinking about setting up your utilities to then actually do the things that you need to do right now. So this all comes back to how trauma disconnects us from the present moment, and reconnecting to safety means feeling safe to stay and reconnect more deeply to the present moment. So it's not thinking about what do I need to do on the 28th, right? I'm not going to spend today thinking about the move on the 28th because it's not the 28th. It's the 20, is it the 25th? 25th, I think. I don't even know. I never know what day it is. So I have things in this moment I'm going to be focusing on. So what happens is we then future trip and we spend so much time focusing on the 28th or whatever future day that you're wasting and leaking so much time and energy that you could be using to move through things and to actually be connected to the present moment and know that when that future time comes, you will then be in it, right? But if you're constantly using the present to think about the future, you're never actually in the present and you're quite literally wasting your life. And it is so fucking sad because I have lived that way. And the amount of time I've spent living in my head, the amount of time I've spent wasting in front of a screen, in front of a TV screen, a movie screen, a social media screen. Life is so much more precious than that. And so if you're spending time every day in front of a screen instead of actually in nature, connected to your body, with humans, with your pets, with yourself, with your body, again, with your breath, and not being intentional. Like I'm connected to two screens right now because I'm teaching this, right? I'm deeply connected to my purpose versus when I would binge watch Netflix every night before bed, living the lives of the people on the screen rather than actually connecting to my own life in the present moment. That was a non-intentional use of my screen time. So this is really about a reparenting process of one, feeling the fear and knowing you're safe to, and two, learning how to become your own energetic guide. Like, how do I want to use my energy? And being so intentional with that. And really slowing down, knowing when you need to slow down, knowing when you need to speed up, knowing when you're rushing things that don't need to be rushed because of some other person's sense of urgency. Like, where are you taking on some sense of urgency? I was talking to my friend who's pregnant right now, and she's about to turn 38. And she was like, I'm so glad I didn't listen to society's like urgency around having kids because I now got to have a whole life for myself. I got to actually get myself ready and I got clear on if I wanted that rather than children having more children. Oh my God. Luna just tried to jump up and she fell. Honey, come on. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it, honey. She's rusty on her jumping skills. So yeah, it's being honest with, okay, where have we been avoiding the action because we're terrified. And so we're a little bit too in the slow, and it's not actually slowness, it's actually avoidance, because you can still take action in a slower way, in a titrated way, in a calm, regulated way. You can also take action in a more speedy way as long as you are still feeling grounded. Now, that doesn't mean we're never going to be in our sympathetic nervous system because that is more of the state of doing, but it's the energy in which you are doing and incorporating more being and feeling in the doing. So that's really the main thing. We have the logistics of getting all the things out of your head into a structure, a to-do list, a schedule, a system, and then having a flexibility within that system. And then most importantly, looking at what is stopping you from actually taking the action. Where do you need to take more action? Where do you need to slow down and honor rest? Like for me, I know, okay, I have a million things to do, but I need to go to bed right now because it's getting late, or I need to stop and pause and get outside or have a meal. It's not sacrificing yourself while also accepting that things might be a little bit busier in a busy season. Like I'm not sleeping 9 hours a night because I've been doing a lot, but I know it's temporary because I'm going to get to the new place and I'm going to be able to just rest. So sometimes we have to just get through a busier time and then make sure that we then slow down, right? That's the whole point. It's okay to use more energy during a week and then have the next week be a little bit slower, or it's okay to have a slower week. Like on my period week, I make sure to have a very slow week if I'm able to, which the timing of this move worked out perfectly because I had my period right before traveling. and I'll get it right after the move. So I'll have a slower week and that'll be perfect timing because I would have just come from this like busy season. And now I'm like, oh, I'm entering my inner winter, my cycle, my period, and I'm meant to slow down anyway. And I need to slow down because I just had such a busy few weeks. So again, really allowing yourself to slow down when you need to, and also speed up and take the action and not let fear hold you back. And that is the beautiful balance of the two. And remembering, again, nothing is actually urgent unless something's urgent, which 99.9% of the time, nothing's actually urgent. So breathe, come back to the present, release urgency, slow down, take your time, and come back to safety and grounding. And remembering that it's all going to be okay. Like, no matter what, like, you are supported. You are so deeply supported. And it's all going to be okay. And when you feel safe enough to slow down and connect with God, your angels, universe, whatever you resonate with, for me, it's all of the above, you realize how deeply supported you are and that you don't have to feel like you're doing it all alone. Always take time to come home to yourself every single day. Chanting, meditating, journaling, breathing. Like yesterday before my going away party, I was like, I want to save chanting for bed, but I knew that I had just done a lot of work and I didn't want to go from a lot of work to then going to be in a bunch of other people's energy. So I literally sat in a dark room, put my phone away, and I just closed my eyes, got still, and breathed. And I just did that for a few minutes. And I just breathed, and then I breathed, and I noticed thoughts, and then I would breathe, just breathe some more. And then I got up and got ready, right? It's like less is more, just dedicating more time throughout your day for deep breaths, more time for hands on body, breathing deeply, like more time for stillness, more time for just connecting home to yourself. Like, you are the home base. Everything else is external, right? So if I'm in the home base, it's like you drive your car to the supermarket, but then you park it in your parking spot and you let it rest and recharge and sleep before you turn it on again. It's the same thing. You are your parking spot. You go, you do work, you interact with people, you go to the store, you come back, and then am I taking a moment to reconnect to home base? You are the home base. So that is what I have for you guys today. I hope it was helpful. Let me know how this all lands. And the next Morning Tea Live / pod ep will be in my new home. But tomorrow I am doing a live with my mentor at, I think we're still confirming the time. We're going to be talking all about how we processed my journey to eating meat again, which last night was fucking hilarious because I hadn't had pepperoni and I didn't know it was pork. I thought it was beef. So this vegetarian cashier, we're asking a million questions of what is sausage. I thought it was beef. And he's like, no, it's pork. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Am I ready to eat the pig? Like, I already ate the cow. And we're like just talking to him about it. And he's a hardcore vegetarian. And just, I saw like a past version of myself in him. And I'm like, I see you, I get you, but also like, we have learned some new things about this. So it was very funny. But anyway, we're going to be talking all about that tomorrow on our live. So stay tuned for that. And then in the next Morning Tea Live, I'm having her on Morning Tea Live for talking about, what's her topic for that? Oh, attaching onto symptoms and diagnoses. And then the week after that, I'm having my client Jared on Morning Tea Live for talking about loneliness and how he has shifted loneliness. So many good things coming up on the lives. I can't wait to show you guys my new place. And thank you for tuning in. And thank you to everyone who's here live. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you. I love you. And I will talk to you soon.